Hello! And welcome to the Activity Continues podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Amy.
And I'm Megan. We're recording just a little later in the week than usual as we both had busy weeks for a variety of reasons. We've already released episode 4, Big J and the Paper People, so if you haven't yet, go and check that out because it was a good one.
It was a good one. We're all in love with Big J.
Yes. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We all want a Big J in our lives.
I know. And what I've learned from listening to Amy Allen's things today, we just maybe don't know that he's there.
I for sure had one. I for sure had a Big J.
Yeah. So last time I checked, we were super close to 300 downloads. So I'm going to, drum roll please, I'm going to check it right now. 299.
Are you kidding me?
I'm totally serious.
We're so close.
Maybe by the time we're done.
Yes.
I know it seems silly to be excited over 300.
No,
but
it's not.
I mean,
that's a big milestone. Yeah.
We'll really celebrate when we get to 500 or maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
New episodes of the show are coming February 18th.
Oops, I gave Megan the wrong info. It's Saturday, February 26th on Discovery Plus.
That will round out the season, and then in April there's going to be a 2-hour special. So just make sure you mark your challenge. Good God, your calendars for that. When you make your oh my gosh, you guys! I've only had 2 sips of my drink.
What are you having?
It's called 12 Fives Rebel Hard Coffee, and it's a mocha latte, and it is just amazing. So it's so freaking good. I can't. Oh my God, I want to chug it all now. But
does it have alcohol in it?
Yeah. Yep. 5% alcohol ABV.
Wow.
So
interesting.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm loving it.
Good.
Do. I'm loving it.
Megan's going to be singing all of our commercial jingles for when we do get ads.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I'll sing them now. I mean,
we'll just give people free advertising.
Totally. Yeah.
Until they start paying us.
Wait a second. I'm not. See, this is why Amy's in charge and not me, because I'd be like, let's just give free advertising. Then we'll never get sponsored.
I'm just drinking water now because I had a lot to drink last night and I'm still feeling it. So I don't need any more today. Oh, just wanted to note that it is February 13th, aka Superb Owl Sunday. Can't say the real word, otherwise they'll charge us.
Oh.
So you have to say Superb Owl.
There's a big sports ball game today.
Yep. Big sports ball game.
Or as the internet is saying, there's a football game around the Dr. Dre and Eminem concert.
Well, I was watching Puppy Bowl, which I believe you can still say without having to pay. And Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart are hosting it.
They have the most amazing friendship. Look, I have said it. I was saying it back in 2019. Snoop Dogg for president. I'll vote for him. I love him. I love him.
We could do a lot worse.
I know. We did do a lot worse. I think that he is just the best. Like, I love him so much. I love Snoop Dogg. Yeah.
He's pretty cool.
He's grown up a lot.
And his relationship with Martha is just so, like, what the hell you would not expect, but they're so
They're like
together.
The best of friends. Yeah, you would never be like, cute. Okay, it's going to be freaking Good Housekeeping, Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg. But yeah, they are just adorable. Like, I could watch them all day.
Okay, so what else? We have new YouTube subscribers.
What?
So a shout out to Christina and Randall. And I believe she is also following us on Instagram and Twitter. So
What's
she's
up,
a rock star.
Christina and Randall? You are the best.
And someone else called Strange in Maine.
Love it.
As in the state. Yeah.
Yes.
So thanks to you two. That's cool. Cool beans. And then I got an email today from a company that ranks podcasts and then tells you what, even if you didn't ask, where your podcast ranks on certain things.
I mean, some things that might be good, but some days it's probably like, you're number 188 of 189. And it's like, I don't want to know that.
Yeah. So it says that the activity continues via Apple Podcasts, is where these rankings came from, in the last 30 days, is position number 77 in the category of TV reviews in the United Kingdom.
What?
What?
Guys!
So there's only 76 podcasts that are TV reviews in the United Kingdom that are doing better than us.
That is like such a teeny tiny number. You guys, United Kingdom, you guys know what's going on.
I know. We're still getting downloads from Ireland.
Oh, Ireland. Listen, Ireland is hands down the best.
I think maybe we'll have to visit. We'll have to go do a live show in Ireland.
If our public wants it, I would sacrifice.
Yes.
And go to beautiful Ireland.
I would as well. You got to give people what they want.
We're public servants here. So we are here for you, Ireland.
Pack your bags.
They're packed.
We are also number 95 in the category of TV reviews in the United States.
Oh my God, we've broken 100?
100. I don't even know how many there are.
Front door.
I'm sure there's more than.
There's got to be more than.
There's got to be more than 100 TV review
with
podcasts.
all the TV shows. Oh, listen. I'm speechless. This doesn't happen often.
You're not.
I know I'm never.
You're
speechless.
never speechless.
I know. Let's be honest.
That would never happen.
If I'm speechless, or if you hear me say things like, I love camping, I'm in trouble and you need to call somebody.
Right.
I'm going to go on a quick jog for 4 miles.
Yes. I was going to say, if I ever text you back saying, I'm going on a run, or I'm going camping for a few days and I won't be able to be reached, you know that I've been kidnapped.
I will immediately call. I'll have your photo ready for Dateline.
Right.
I will call the police and I will say, Amy went camping. She's going to die, or she's been murdered.
Yeah.
Or in True Crime Obsessed, Patrick just talked about how you have to create a struggle so people know you were kidnapped. And he said, put a vase by your door to kick the vase so that when the police come into your house, they see the vase kicked over and they know there was a struggle. So.
Oh my God, that's so smart.
Yeah, it is. It is. Really,
I love that.
I was laughing really hard though, because you know how Patrick is. And so he just went off the rails with it. I was legit cackling. Good thing I was working from home, because my coworkers would have been like, what are you doing? Listen, everybody, thank you so much to everybody who's downloaded us and gotten us to those numbers, because we just did this for fun.
Yeah.
Mostly to get our thoughts out of our head.
Right, because we're just getting tired of texting it all day, every day. So
thank you, everybody, to whoever,
thank you.
Everybody who downloaded, especially Ireland.
You rock. So when I was plotting out this podcast in my little pea brain, I kind of thought that only people who watch the Dead Files would listen. But I realized that there are some people who listen who haven't yet seen the show or hadn't when they started. I have heard people say, oh, I'm going to start watching that now. After hearing the podcast, they're like, well, now I want to watch that show. So that's good. That's, I'm happy to give more listeners or watchers to the Dead Files. Viewers, I guess would be the word. So I was planning on doing a little episode just on talking about who Amy is, who Steve is, Matt, and just like a little overview thing for people who haven't watched the show or who don't watch it that much, just to get some background on them. And then I spaced it. We got busy doing recaps of episodes and we didn't do it. I meant to do it at the second episode, and then I just got distracted, which is the story of my life. But then it came to my attention that there are some super fans who assume that we don't know some things about Amy and Steve just because we haven't said anything about it on the podcast. So whatever. Those people are probably not listening to us anymore anyway. So I'm not going to worry too much about them. But this is for people who may have seen a few episodes of The Dead Files and are interested in learning more about Amy, Steve, and behind the scenes kind of stuff, it's not meant to be all inclusive. We don't know everything. So please don't come at us about that.
We're trying our best.
We're trying our best. If we got anything wrong, Amy or Steve, please let us know and we will make corrections in the next episode. We don't want to get anything wrong, but we're going with what we can. And the sources are not abundant.
Yes, correct.
There aren't a lot of things. Amy and Steve are both pretty private.
Yes, and if we do get something wrong, we promise it's not on purpose. So
yes, exactly.
Please feel free to correct us, but please do it nicely. We both have anxiety, and so
we just want you to like us.
Just like us, and no BB. Okay.
No meanies. Yeah. So with that, here's what I found out about Amy. Some of the stuff I already knew. Some of it is new to me. So Amy was born May 31st, 1973, and was raised in Denver, Colorado. She's lived in a bunch of other states, but she now lives in California with her husband, Rob. I believe his last name is pronounced Traegler. I might be pronouncing that wrong. He used to be a director on The Dead Files. They met in 2011, and they were married on Halloween of 2018.
Oh my God, that is so Amy. I love it.
I love a Halloween wedding. It's the best. At the time of the article that I read, she had 5 cats and 2 dogs.
Yes.
But she might have more or different animals now. But she's, I think, always surrounds herself with pets, which makes her A-okay in my book.
Yeah. Yep. Unless one of those pets is a spider, only because I'm petrified of spiders. I don't have anything against them. Right. I understand that they're healthy to the animal kingdom, but they scare the bejesus out of me.
Some spiders are terrifying. I would never have like a tarantula. No. That would not happen. But like if I see a spider running around in the bathtub, I'll leave it because they eat the bugs that I don't like.
I really try my best to not. I've really been working on not killing them. Sometimes it can't be helped when they look at me. But I really have been trying, you guys. And for me, that's a huge thing. Some people have the fight or flight. I have what's called the possum, and I just freeze and can't move. So.
Yeah. We have been getting stink bugs coming in.
Ooh.
And I did not know what it was. One was just sitting on a bar stool down here, and I took a picture of it, and I put it on Facebook, and I'm like, who's my new roommate? And a bunch of people said, oh, that's a stink bug. Don't smash it. Just gently put it on a piece of paper and put it outside. So I did that. Put it outside. And then I let the dogs out a couple hours later and walked by the little piece of paper, and the thing was toes up. Laying there dead, literally toes up.
Oh my God. What happened?
And so then I thought, well, maybe it froze, it's kind of cold out. And then about a week later, I'm standing at the sink doing dishes, and I look down and I see another stink bug just staring at me.
Oh.
And so
the audacity of it all.
I know. He's pretty brave. So I just had a little conversation with him, and I said, hey, you know what? You can't live here. This is my house, and you can't live here. As I'm washing dishes, because I didn't want to stop what I was doing and get rid of him. So I was just talking to him and explained that he was not going to be able to stay here. And then I finished washing dishes and forgot all about him and walked away. And then I came back like the next day, and he was still there in the same position. So I conclude that I talked to him to death.
I mean, there are worse ways to go, probably like being smashed.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to deal with the smell, so I didn't want to smash him. But
right.
So then after he was already dead and he'd been there for 2 days, I just put him down the garbage disposal. So
smart. Did he smell?
And he didn't smell. No.
Okay, good.
So maybe they don't smell when they're dead. I don't know.
Maybe? I wonder if they, oh my gosh, do they need to make themselves smell? Because that would be like a defense mechanism.
Like a skunk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, did this just change into a biology podcast?
It might.
Yeah.
Spiders of the universe. Okay, anyway. So Amy's first experience that she recalls was at age 4 with shadow people who tried to kill her. We've talked about this before.
Yep.
She said that she had other experiences that she doesn't remember, but her parents said, this has happened to you before, when you were 1, 2, 3, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, your son, you think he sees people.
Yes.
Like up in the corner of the room and stuff like that. So he's not going to remember that.
No.
But you remember that.
I mean, I 100% believe that babies and animals see that because, he would just be looking up in the ceiling and just smile.
Yeah.
Like he was seeing somebody. So,
Yeah. Cute. I just picture like a ghost going, you're so cute.
Yep. I pictured one of the grandparents that had passed away just, hovering and looking at him and smiling at him.
Yeah. Cool. So one of the sources that I had was a video on YouTube where Amy was at the Mansfield State Penitentiary and doing a Q&A. It was a 2-night Q&A, so it's 2 different videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I will link to all of my sources and all of Megan's sources. I'm going to put them in a blog post because there's a lot of them. I don't want to put them all in the show notes. I'll just create a blog post and then put a link to that blog post in the show notes so you can still get there.
Perfect.
So in this Q&A, she told a story about when she was little. She didn't say exactly how old. She was playing Barbies with her friend at her house, and they had set up the whole Barbie kingdom on the floor. And Amy had already known that there was a dead little boy that played in her closet, and they were playing kind of near that closet. She and her friend left the room to go get snacks, and when they came back, the Barbie toys were thrown all over the room, and her friend freaked out. But Amy saw the little boy sitting in the middle of it. She knew that he was the one that had done it. And she was saying to her friend, well, it was him. It's no big deal. Like, she didn't realize that it was something her friend couldn't see. And when she tried to explain it to her friend was like, I'm out of here. She beat feet and never came back and was not friends with Amy anymore.
Oh, Amy, I'll be friends with you.
I know. It
We
doesn't
both
scare me.
will.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
That made me sad that she lost her friend because of it. So when she was growing up, she tried to ignore all this stuff and just be normal, as she said, but it didn't really work out that way. In her late teens, she saw James Van Prague on TV, and it all became clear to her. And she said, quote, I fucking flipped my shit when she saw him. So I looked him up. I'd never heard of him before.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to YouTube and found some videos where he does some meditations.
Okay.
He does like mindfulness meditations, and he seems really cool. I'll definitely check out more of his videos, and I'll link to them too. So then it was in her late teens when she started getting tested by other people in the paranormal world. She said that, quote, here's a quote, I was lucky to have been tested by several parapsychologists, psychiatrists, and psychologists who confirmed that I have some type of other abilities.
Really?
She has degrees in psychology, sociology, and business, and she was mentored by Dr. William Roll, who is a parapsychologist.
Oh, nice.
In case anybody out there doesn't know about parapsychology, I clipped a little thing from Wikipedia for you.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. So parapsychology is the study of alleged, I hate that they say alleged, the study of alleged psychic phenomena, extrasensory perception, telepathy, precognition, clairvoyance, psychokinesis, aka telekinesis, and psychometry, and other paranormal claims. For example, those related to near-death experiences, synchronicity, apparitional experiences, etc. It's considered to be a pseudoscience, and a vast majority of mainstream scientists reject it. But Amy talks in this Q&A like she's really into the science of all of this. And so she's, she is kind of conflicted sometimes. But anyway, I didn't know what psychometry was. I'd heard it, but I didn't know what it was. And she said when she was studying acupuncture, she learned about her secondary ability, which is psychometry. That is the supposed ability to discover facts about an event or a person by touching inanimate objects associated with them.
Oh, so it's kind of similar to clairvoyancy, I would think. Like you touch, like if you touch something that somebody owned, you can, I know a lot of psychics who work with law enforcement. A lot of times they'll do that.
Yep. So in our last episode, I think it was, I was talking about how they had flashed to Amy and she was sitting on the floor of this residence. And I thought it was weird that she was sitting on the floor. But I'm wondering if she was trying to learn something from
the
like
house.
Where the people walked and stuff. Yeah. It's just weird that if she does that on a normal basis, that they don't show it all the time. But another thing I learned is that they cut so much out of the show. And we'll get a little into this when we get into the behind the scenes of the show itself. But she might give the people 15 things they need to do to get rid of everything that's going on in their house. And the show only shows 3 of them. So
that makes sense.
We're not getting the whole picture.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. You know, the walk itself is sometimes hours long.
Yeah. So here's just a gossipy side note.
Yes.
She was married to Matt Anderson, as we've spoken about before, the one that goes around on the walks with her holding the handheld camera. One article said they were married, or at least together, for 12 years. Another article I read said that their marriage was short-lived. And then yet another article said that they were no longer on speaking terms after they separated, and that they only spoke once when they were on an episode together. Which is bullshit because they're both on every episode and they speak to each other all the time. They may not speak to each other when the cameras aren't rolling.
He still does the walks with her.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still holding the camera.
Yeah, he's on every episode. At any rate, they were divorced in 2013 and Amy even tweeted about it. That much I know is real. And he's remarried now, so don't worry about him. They're both remarried. Okay, so I found most fascinating these 2 videos I talked about that were when she visited the Mansfield prison in Ohio. They were posted by a group called Paranormal Savage on YouTube. I'm going to link to them so you'll be able to see them, but really, really interesting Q&As. She was taking questions from the audience. And my only beef was the same as everybody else's, according to the comments, is that they didn't think of a way to mic the people that are asking the questions. So we don't hear the people asking the questions. We only hear Amy answering them. So you can't really, you're like, what did they ask? You can, if the person is close enough to the guy who was recording it, then you can hear through his mic. But otherwise, it's not mic'd. You couldn't hear any of the questions.
I feel like they could have shared a mic at that point.
You know, most places like this, they just put a stand-up mic in the front, right in front of the stage, and then people walk up and stand in a line behind, and they ask the question and move along.
Like a town hall or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, takeaways from these videos. She seemed really goofy and giggly and funny and like just, it's very different than she is on the show. Yeah. But I understand on the show, she's working. You know, we're all different when we're at work. And it's pretty serious business. I mean, these people are terrified and all this. So I can see why she's different. But I guess
Plus, I think skeptics would kind of latch onto her if she was silly and goofy. Like, you're not taking this seriously, or this is just a joke. So
that's a good point. Yeah, so I see why that is. But it was fun watching her be like that, conversational and silly and whatever. She mentioned her guides a lot. And at first, I wasn't sure if these were mentors, like living people, like the people she's talked about before, or dead people. And it turns out they are dead people. She's had the same ones for years. She did say that one of them is a new one. It's a friend who died a few years before the making of the video. And that was in 2016. Someone asked her if she had animal guides. And she says she does believe that she has some animal guides. She thinks everybody does. And she said you'd be shocked at how many guides a person has with them at any given time. It ranges from 13 to 50 or more.
Wow.
I love that idea.
Me too.
And I wish I knew who was with me, if anyone.
Like, are they people you know, or are they just like random spirits that, you know, like mine was, I reminded him of his sister. Oh. And so that's why he latched on to me. It was nobody I'd ever met. He was in the 1800s, but yeah, it'd be interesting to know. Yeah, it was really neat.
Yeah, I think that my grandma might be, because I have dreams about her a lot where she's not dead. And I'm like, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to be dead? Aren't you dead? and she's just talking to me normal. But sometimes other people can't see her. I'm the only one that can see her.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Yep. I would say probably then.
And then I also have dreams about dead pets, and they're very much alive. And like when my little dog Ricky died, I had dreams about him afterwards, and I was like, Ricky, you're alive! I can't believe you're alive! And it was like, that's what I felt like in that dream. And I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh shit,
sad,
because it was such a real dream. It felt real, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I love that idea.
I do too.
I think it's really cool.
We all have a big J.
Yes. And I really hope it's true. So this was my favorite part again, because it had to do with animals. She said when animals die, they can choose to stay in their form and become an animal guide, or they could come back as different animals or as humans.
What?
I know.
Okay. So like theoretically, if they come back as a human, you could meet your animal like later in life as a person. Wow.
I know. I love it. She said that when she goes to a reveal, her guides are there and the client's guides are there, and they work together to help the client.
Nice.
I love that.
I do too.
The whole thing about guides was just, that was all new to me. I mean, I knew that she talked about guides, but I didn't know, like I said, I didn't even know that they were dead people.
Right.
I thought they were her friends. Because she's like, so Vicky told me. And that's just one of her guides. It's a dead person.
Yeah, and Vicky.
I don't know if she knew her in real life. Or I mean, in life when Vicky was alive. But anyway, she talks about different dimensions and how time and space don't exist. Which I have heard that said before. But I have not been able to wrap my head around it yet, as fascinating as it is. But so she said that's why people can haunt a space when they're not dead. So there have been episodes where she sees something. She's explaining how this man murdered somebody. And then you find out the murderer is still alive. He's in prison.
Wow.
But she saw him. And then in that same episode, and maybe we should do this episode. It was a really good one. Steve actually went and talked to the guy in prison.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get to that a little bit because we talk about it in a minute. So she said we construct our realities and we carry them. So one person asked, and I could hear this question. So if I pass and I've never been to Europe, can I go to Europe? And Amy said, yes, you can. And in a very amazing way, too.
Oh, I love that.
I know. She was asked if she believes in God. And if not, then how does she explain ghosts? And I really I'm glad somebody asked this, because that's what I struggle with. I don't really believe in God in the way that most people do. But I definitely believe in ghosts. And I've been told I can't have one and not the other.
You would almost have to think, though, that you couldn't have both. That, to me, it's like, okay, if you believe in God, then theoretically when people die, I'm totally destroying all of my, not destroying, but kind of going against my beliefs. But when people die, then shouldn't they move on? And so to have ghosts, one would think means that there's nothing to move on to. So I don't understand why they say you can't have one without the other, because to me, the opposite would be true and you couldn't have both.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, I believe in God. I do. I'm not, but I don't understand how people say you can't have one without the other.
Well, I think, like, if you don't believe in heaven or hell, then you believe that when you die, the lights go off and you're gone.
Poofed.
Nothing happens after that. But if you believe in God, then you believe there's another life, there's an afterlife, there's maybe a purgatory, depending on how good or bad you were, which that's the part I don't like.
Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, I get that now.
Yeah, so she said, this is a quote. I typed this up verbatim because I want to make sure I didn't get it wrong. She said, I use language that is accessible by the majority. I use demon because that's a word that the majority understands. A lot of the entities that I come into contact with don't fit any of the frickin' terms we have accessible to describe them today.
Interesting.
Yeah, so she said we just don't have the language to describe what she really is seeing, so she uses words like demons or
entities,
aliens or whatever. She says she absolutely has faith. She's not going to say in what, but she knows for a fact that there's something out there and it's good.
Nice. Smart of her to not say in what, because then everybody who's not there would be attacking her.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I found that really comforting.
Mm-hmm. That is really nice to hear.
Okay, so here's some other just little bullet points that I found from these interviews. She said they cut out a lot on the shows. Mm-hmm. So if we're ever like, why didn't they do that? They probably did. Mm-hmm. And the producers just cut it. The locations that have been selected are really the worst of the worst.
Okay.
She noted that she doesn't see Steve a lot, but she said she loves his girlfriend. She keeps him in line and keeps him happy, which makes her life easier, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
But then, as we were discussing earlier, this was in 2016. And he didn't meet his current wife until later.
Right.
So she was not talking about her.
Yeah.
She's talking about
2019. Yeah.
Yeah. So someone asked about a follow-up on a specific episode, and Amy said they're doing well. The family was doing well. And then she said they used to do these revisited episodes, but they stopped doing it after one season. She doesn't know why. So
that's a bummer, because I think a lot of, and by a lot of, I mean you and me, would really like to have a follow-up to some of these.
I really would.
Yeah.
I really would.
I think a lot of people who watch the show would too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So producers, if you're listening, which I know you are.
Oh, they probably have someone at the Travel Channel listening to us to make sure we're not fucking anything up.
Yeah.
We try not to. If we are, let us know and we'll fix it.
Yeah, we try. We really try not to.
Yeah, we're on your side. We want more people to watch the show.
We love your show.
She said when someone's in their death state, it's not a continuous state. So you know how like she'll say that person's in their death state and they died by being like burned alive or something?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that meant that they will live in eternal life burning to death.
Yeah.
She said no. They've chosen to do that, to be that way. They want to share what they've gone through. They want her to see what happened to them. So they show, like if they're trying to say how they got murdered or something.
Okay.
They do that so that she can see what happened. And some just hang on because they can't process their death and they keep reliving it. They don't realize they're dead or won't admit it.
Like the guy in one of my stories who his death was so fast.
Yeah.
He didn't even know he was dead. He was the cop that was killed.
Right. Someone asked her about Ouija boards, and she is very against using them, as we know, because it opens up some shit that you can't put back.
Elvis.
But she does collect them, and she has them up on her walls.
I would think that, collecting them wouldn't do anything. It's when you open or when you play with it that...
When you use it, yeah. I have one. I have one that's up. It's not on a wall, but it's on a bookshelf. Mm-hmm. But I don't even have the planchette. I don't even know what happened to it. I probably threw it away. So
I used to, when I was younger, I used one. Back when I was probably like 12 or something. I had no idea. So
did anything happen?
No, but maybe that's why I attract spirits now. Because
there you go.
I opened it up.
Frank came from?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I tried to use one once when I was little, probably that age too, or maybe even younger. But I knew that whoever I was doing it with, I knew they were pushing it. I knew it was so I just thought they were bullshit.
Yeah.
So it never scared me or anything. I was like, well, she's pushing it. So
yeah.
She has always worked with skeptics, and she appreciates that skeptics test her.
Yes.
She considers herself an open-minded skeptic.
Which is great, because then to me that just proves that she's authentic, because she's not afraid for people to test her and be like, listen, you know.
She's like, fine, bring it on. I'm the real deal.
Yep.
She is skeptical of orbs. I thought that was interesting.
I kind of am too.
It's usually dust.
Yeah, 100%. And how do you disprove it? That it's, or how do you prove it's an orb and not dust? Because to me, they're all dust. We're all dust.
Yeah. We're all dust anyway. There was another video the Travel Channel put out that was spending a day in the life with Amy, and I learned a couple. Did you watch that one?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I just watched the Steve one.
Oh, okay. Her grandmother is one of her guides.
Love that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And also I learned that she has a raspberry birthmark on the back of her neck.
Oh.
And in the video, she and her friends go to a store where they have like tarot cards and readings and stuff. And she buys one of the tarot decks and her friend has a reading and they all, it's she and like 4 or 5 of her friends that sit together in this, that go around town together for the day. And it was all just reminding me of early 90s, I guess it was. I was smitten with all of this stuff. Yeah. Anything paranormal, anything with herbs, crystals, all that stuff. I read all these books. I've got a tarot card deck. And I used to spend weekends at a shop in South Minneapolis called Present Moment. And it was one of those places where you walked in and it just felt calm and it smelled good and everybody was nice. And they had like a whole pharmacy sort of, but it was all just herbs.
Really?
You'd go up and you'd tell the person what I'm having trouble sleeping or I'm allergic to something or whatever. And they would put stuff together for you to take and make into tea. It was so cool. I love that store. So I looked them up. They're still there.
Yay.
I think they closed around, because of both the George Floyd stuff and the pandemic. And so they had closed up for a while, but they're open again. So I'll put the link to their website. Everybody can go visit who's local. It's a great shop. So speaking of shops, I went to Amy's official site and she's opening up a store to sell stuff that she makes.
What?
She's
a crafter too?
Yeah, she makes
Amy,
jewelry.
Is
like
there anything you can't do? Amy, let's get together. Craft day.
You guys should make jewelry together.
I'm down. I'm down for it, Amy. Call me.
Yep.
If you reach out, I'll give you my cell phone number.
Megan doesn't give that out to very many people, so that's quite an honor.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
For you, Amy, I'll do it.
She had a store on Poshmark, but I think she sold everything and is moving to a different platform. She's been talking about it on Twitter, and I don't have a link to it yet, but I looked at the Poshmark store and I think everything is sold out.
I'm trying to sell on Poshmark. It is so hard.
Is it?
I have a bunch of stuff, like new stuff from Ralph Lauren, Anthropology, new with tags on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
All right, maybe we should put your store in the link too. Send me your link. I'll
buy my stuff.
Put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
So Amy and her friend, this is from her website, Amy and her friend Jenny Bell met in Arizona when they were both on an investigation of the Santa Clarita Hotel.
Ooh.
They hit it off and started a business, Lost Souls PI.
Oh my God, I love that.
PI standing for Paranormal Investigation, not Private Investigation. And Jenny is from Minnesota.
Oh, Jenny, Minnesota represent. Oh, yeah.
And she now heads up the workshops, the opening workshops that Amy has created. She has a paranormal unit within her company, which her company is Amy Allan LLC. And this other woman is also named Amy Beams or Bems. She heads up that. But all of those paranormal investigations and workshops are on hold right now. They're starting to bring the workshops back. Sure. I think that would be really fun to do.
Yeah, it would.
Because she kind of teaches you how to open up and see if there's anything, if you have any abilities.
Oh my God. That'd be amazing. That'd be so fun.
Love it.
Yeah.
So here's more about her jewelry.
Yes.
She has pre-made pieces that she puts up on the stuff, but she also takes personal orders. So you send a photo of the person that the piece is for, whether it's you or your friend or whatever. She meditates on that and then consults with her guides and comes up with a piece made specifically for that person.
Yes. Yes.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
I'm going to look it up right now while we're finishing up.
So during the Q&A, I'm back to that because I thought this was a good place to end on. Someone asked her, how, as a living person, do you make sure that you don't get stuck and not be able to move on? And Amy said, have no regrets. Take care of any unfinished business. If you've had trauma, work it out before you die. Reclaim any aspect of your being. Write letters and burn them, which sends them into the universe. So if you have something to say to somebody and you can't because they're dead or you you can't find them or whatever, write a letter and burn it.
Really?
Send it to the universe.
Okay. So I've got a lot to say to a couple people.
Yeah.
Lots to say.
Lots and lots. Okay, do you want to do Steve before we go to behind the scenes and stuff? Okay.
Mine is not nearly as in-depth as yours.
That's okay.
It was really tough to find information on Steve.
I looked for Steve's stuff too, and I could not.
I literally went through his entire Instagram account, like down to the bottom.
Yeah, that's where you're going to find a lot of stuff. Yeah, I did that with Amy too, for mostly her Twitter.
Yeah. So Steve, I found that he was born in May 1st, 1966 in Brooklyn, New York. So interesting. I think they're both Geminis. I know.
They're both May babies.
Yeah.
Because she's at the end of May and she's at the beginning.
So I know she's a Gemini, and I think he is too. So that's very interesting. His father was in the military. Actually, he was World War II. He was on the Normandy beaches. He stormed Omaha Beach.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so thank you to him for his service.
Yes.
And Steve was also in the military. He served in the United States Marine Corps for 3 years. So anybody who's listening, thank you for your service, whether you're currently past, thank you so much. He was in it for 3 years before he was honorably discharged. Once he did that, then he went to the NYPD, where he served for 21 years. He has 2 rings from NYPD.
Here we go.
Infamous, yeah. I could not find why he received those rings. I have a friend in law enforcement, and I asked her, do they receive rings as a detective when you retire? And she said no. Might be something like a club, like a Freemason. Not like he was a Freemason, but similar to a Freemason club. Okay. So that's all I could find out about the rings. If anybody knows more, let us know. Again, if this is incorrect, I'm not doing it on purpose.
Right.
It was just tough to find information about the rings.
I tried too, because I had gotten some feedback that for being people who have seen so many shows, we're supposed to know all about the ring. And I have now seen every episode that has aired, and I do not believe that ring is mentioned at all.
No.
So if anybody knows which episode he spoke about the ring, please let us know. Maybe I watched it and I was doing something else at the time and I missed it. I'm happy to watch it again. I'm happy to be wrong, but I do not believe it was ever addressed on the show.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, let me know.
Yeah. So after he retired from NYPD, he also was the senior investigator for Merrill Lynch's fraud department.
Oh.
So I didn't know about that. And he also owns his own private investigation firm called Paragon Investigations. I tried to find information on it, and when I did a search, it just pulled up this one security company that didn't appear to be associated with Steve's. It was really tough to dive deeply. I tried to find out about his separation from his wife. I couldn't find anything about that. He just got married to his current wife in December of 2021. So they just got married. The wedding pictures are up on Instagram. Gorgeous. Yeah. Gorgeous, gorgeous. They look so happy. I'm so happy for them. I hope that, he's happy and all of that.
They seem to be very happy, and they have a cute doggy.
They do. It's like a little golden doodle. Yep. Oh, my God. And he was in the dog, I don't know if it's a he or a she. The puppy was in the wedding. Oh, it was just the cutest.
So cute.
Fun fact, in 2008, he appeared in a movie titled Pride and Glory alongside Ed Norton, Colin Farrell, and Jon Voight.
What?
I know. I don't know what part he had, but that's a pretty...
We should look for it.
We should, and then we should watch it and then report back. So here's a quote from Steve about doing the show, and it's from ScreenRant.com. He says, quote, "I was asked to do the show, and once I found out it was a paranormal, I said, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing this. But when me and the creator, Jim Casey, sat down, we discussed how it could be a detective-oriented investigation on my side, because I am an open-minded skeptic. I'm not skeptic of the paranormal. People get this wrong in me. I do believe there's stuff going on. Do I believe all of it? No. But I believe there's something going on. I hope there's an afterlife. My problem is with the living. I'm a skeptic of them, not the paranormal. And like, same, Steve. I am a skeptic of the living too.
Yep. And I noticed when like he goes to some of these places and he interviews people,
Mm-hmm.
and some of their claims are so outlandish.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's going, okie dokie, well,
Yep.
we'll see about that.
Sure, Jan.
Yep.
Yeah. So there was an interview also that he did with the Travel Channel, and they asked him a few questions. And one of them was, have you ever had any experiences with the paranormal? And he said, no.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had any experiences. And so they also asked him where he would want to like travel, top 5 destination. And based on his Instagram, I would have said tropical places. And it's Bora Bora, Bermuda, Caribbean, Hawaii, or any places with sandy beaches and drinks with umbrella in them. And again, Steve, same.
Yeah.
Call me. Like, you, me, and your wife, we'll just go pop off. Let's go to Bermuda. They asked, what is one thing that most people don't know about you? He said, I play the drums and I'm into heavy metal. And he does have some videos of him on Instagram playing the drums.
Oh, fun.
So I know, that's just like, I wouldn't look at Steve and think he's into heavy metal.
I kind of would.
I would have
Doesn't surprise
pictured
me.
him more of like a 80s hair band, like Bon Jovi,
Oh, okay.
Aerosmith, Whitesnake, those types of.
Oh, sure. Like classic rock, not.
Yep,
not
not
metal.
heavy metal.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I wonder if it's like heavy metal, like does Metallica classify as heavy metal? Or is he more of like the throat screaming heavy metal?
Oh.
Like, I know, like
Like they
when
all
I
sound like
listen-
the Cookie Monster?
Yeah, when I listen to them, I'm like, oh my God, I need an old priest and a young priest, like
Yep.
right now, because one consistent thing, and even this, so I watched the video you sent me, A Day in the Life of Steve. It was so, like, film noir, 1950s detective, like very nostalgic. It was so Steve. Like, it was just on point with him, and he loves cigars.
Yeah.
And from his Instagram, all of his pictures are him with cigars or golfing or both. And he loves being on a boat. Tons of pictures of him on a boat on Instagram. And I think he lives in Florida. So
Yeah, I think he does now.
Solid place to be on a boat is Florida with the beaches. You know what? Put me near any ocean in a tropical place. Don't put me in Antarctica. I don't want to go there.
No,
But
no, not a frozen ocean.
no, I want the ocean to be moving and warm.
I mean, I know the ocean's not really frozen, but you know what I mean. You
mean,
can't swim in
around-
it, is what I mean.
And around Antarctica, it's not. It is frozen for part of the year.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Like I said, he really keeps his life really private.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of posting, random pictures on like of his wedding. He has a daughter. I didn't see any pictures of her.
No, he's probably
her
trying
name-
to protect her.
Yeah. Yep. Which I would assume. And, her name is Lauren, and I only got that from the Day in the Life with Steve.
Mm-hmm.
She's a grown woman now. I think I did see a few different sources that say she's a tax attorney in New York. I can't say if that's verified or not. And then I don't know much about his family. Like I said, his father passed away when he was 17 in 1980. And he did have a picture of him and an older brother who was 23 years older than him on Instagram.
Ooh.
Yeah, he recently passed away as well.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's kind of all that I was able to find about Steve. I mean, a lot talking about his net worth, which I thought was like, who cares?
I saw some of that
Like,
too, and I'm like, who gives a shit?
who cares about his net worth? Like, no, I don't, know. But yeah, so one thing I did notice on his Instagram that was consistent is he's very much like family friend oriented. He had a ton of pictures of his friends, a bunch of guys, a lot of pictures from people from the show, producers, other cast members, a couple of him and Amy. So I feel like, he's a very friendly guy. Like when he's your friend, he's your friend.
Yeah.
Based off of, the quick search I did on his Instagram, which means that we're best friends and I know him on a deeply personal level. But that's kind of really all I was able to find.
Yeah. Good. No, that's good.
Yeah.
In that video, the Day in the Life with Steve, My favorite part was when he and his friend are eating lunch in a pub. And his friend, they're looking at like a plate, a bowl or whatever of shepherd's pie. And his friend says, how can you say that's not healthy? The mashed potatoes. How can you say that's not healthy? And Steve goes, there's fucking cheese on top, you dopey bastard.
Yeah. One of his lifelong friends, I think his name is Dominic.
Yep.
They've been friends since they were 3. They were both detectives together. I mean, they have got a bond, I think, that is...
I think they said that Steve saved his life.
Yeah. So...
Yep. So did you watch the behind the scenes video?
I feel like I did.
Okay.
But I don't remember it. I'm not
I'll tell you the notes I took on it, and then if you remember something, you can pipe up. So this was a Travel Channel show about how they do the show, like how the schedule is and stuff. So the executive producer and the team decide which location to use by all the submissions. Yep. And then they do research for a couple of weeks to figure out, like, get anything they need to have in order before they go. And it really showed how Amy is so sequestered from everybody else. And that part about how she doesn't know where she's going until she gets to the airport. And the person at the airport says, where are you going today? And she goes, I don't know. Yep. And then the person says, Kansas City. And she goes, oh, God. I mean.
Yep. Yeah, that. Yes, I remember that because I remember I talked about how cute she looked in pigtails. Yep.
Yeah, yes, she's wearing pigtails. And another thing they do to keep her kind of sequestered is that she has to travel for hours by car from the airport so that she doesn't know where she's going based on where she's landing. They have a pretty good sized team that travels with them. I was surprised at how big that team was.
And I was honestly surprised at how much work goes into, like, they don't just pick one and they're like, okay, bye. Yeah. Like, you know, they really do a lot of investigating before they even get there and before Steve even does his investigation.
Yep. And then Steve finds out stuff while he's talking to the homeowners or the clients. And then they have to run off and investigate that stuff too. I'm sure Steve is like, you know, is in charge of it, but they run around and do all that stuff. And the producers also help Matt clear the premises. It's not just him walking around covering up pictures. It's the whole...
I was wondering because I'm like, that would take hours. Like, that would take... Especially when he does, like, the hotels.
Oh, yeah.
With all of the pictures and all of that.
Yeah, that would take a long time. Matt is the only person that Amy interacts with on the walk. So even though there's a camera crew there, she only talks to Matt. The camera crew, one of the guys in the camera crew said that they have to follow Amy wherever she goes. And it could be blocks away. But
really?
Yeah, he said it could be 5 blocks down the street. Oh, and they're standing outside. I don't think I've ever seen Amy say, we need to go down the street. Or maybe they cut it, but I've never seen her go to a second location.
Right.
Unless she was asked.
Right.
You know? I did see one where Steve was talking to the client and then Amy had done the walk and then they made a point to say, we have never done this before. But Steve was saying, I need Amy to check out this woman's house. Where the original location that they were called to was at this woman's workplace. But the woman believed that she had taken a entity home with her. Yep. And so Steve and Amy did meet under cover of night and then discussed how Amy needs to go to this woman's house. And so she did that. But that's the only time I've ever seen that happen. So I did note that while she is doing her walk, there's somebody on the crew that is rapidly taking notes, writing down everything that she says and that she sees. And I was thinking that it's the job that I want. Yeah. Because I love taking notes. That's what I did for my last job. I loved doing that, taking notes in meetings and stuff and keeping track of all. I think that would be such a fun job to have. So if whoever does that job now, if you're retiring or something,
call Amy.
Put in a word for me.
Yeah. Amy's available to do that.
I am available to do that.
Oh, and I'll be a reference, so.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, Steve tells the production crew what he wants, like autopsy reports and stuff like that, and then the team goes out and gets them. He did say he misses being a detective.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's basically 5 days of investigation from the walk to the reveal. So they spend a week or so with these people.
Yeah.
Yep.
He still kind of is an investigator,
yeah,
though. I mean,
he is.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not homicide investigating.
Yeah. And the last thing I noted was she really does not meet even the clients until the cameras roll because they don't want her reading anything from them. Like they get to the reveal location.
Mm-hmm.
They're already sitting somewhere when she walks into the room because they don't want her to even run into him in the lobby or whatever.
Right. I like that though. It's so it's really authentic. She wants to make sure that there's no question.
Right. And I was listening to, I think it was a podcast I was listening to today that she was a guest on. And she said, she's talking to the listeners. She said, if you want us to come and investigate and you send me a note on Twitter and tell me everything that's going on, you're probably not going to get chosen because I can't know all of that. You can't tell me everything or we can't do it.
Right.
So
makes sense.
Yeah. There's a Q&A. It was an episode. I think it's the first one in season 3. Yeah. And it's led by the show's creator. He's the one asking the questions. And
I'll ask the questions.
And he was taking questions from listeners or viewers, I mean. I'm so used to podcasting. I always say listener when I mean viewer.
Yeah. We get you, Amy.
Thank you. This is back to the thing about how the energy of a live person can be, quote unquote, haunting a location or a person. Yeah. And she said it's because something life-changing happened in that location or near there that a part of the person is still there.
Oh. Like residual energy.
Yeah. That episode, and I can't remember what the title of it is, but where this man killed a man in the basement of a bar. I want to say it was the one called Plan B. I might be wrong about that, but this guy killed the owner of the bar, or the manager anyway, of the bar in the basement because the victim, touched his butt. And so...
I feel like...
Did you see that one?
I've seen that
you
one.
Might have
that
seen
sounds
that
familiar, yeah.
And so Amy was seeing this, she was feeling this energy from the murderer. And then we find out later he's still alive, and he's in prison, and Steve goes to talk to him. The man asked Steve what it was like to talk to him, and he said he wanted to slap the fucker.
Yeah. I would have too. Probably more than one reason why there's those glass barriers or plastic barriers between criminals and interviewers.
So they don't reach across and strangle one another?
Well, it's like Joe Kendo when he said he knew he wanted to retire. He said he was interviewing a suspect about molesting a child. And based on the suspect's answer, he said, it took everything I had not to jump across the table and kill him because the suspect said, well, he came on to me.
No, he fucking didn't.
And it was like a small, 5-6-year-old child, so.
Gross.
Yep.
So, one last thing I'll leave you with because I thought it was hilarious. The host asked Steve if he's worried about something following him home, and he said no. He said, I don't think about that. I'm just worried about the clients. I'm not thinking about myself. And then the host asked Amy, do you think he should be worried about that? And she said, no. Even if something did follow him, he'd be oblivious to it. She's like, they would only want to follow somebody if they thought it was going to do them any good.
Right.
And Steve wouldn't even know that the person's there, so it wouldn't matter. And she said, I don't think anybody's going to go out of their way to follow Steve home.
They sound like they have a really good relationship, just a fun one.
Yeah. So that's what we got. Oh, and in the end of that one, Steve said that he loves the fans. They are the most devoted fans on the planet.
We are.
So,
we love you,
them.
Steve. We love you, Amy. We love you, listeners. We love everyone. Just a big love.
We love everyone.
So.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Activity Continues podcast. We hope you will join us next time when we cover a couple more episodes. We aren't sure which ones yet, but we will let you know as soon as we do. In the meantime, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know which ones you would like us to talk about. We can be reached at theactivitycontinues@gmail.com. Also, don't forget, all new episodes of The Dead Files will be airing on the Travel Channel on February 26th at 9 p.m. Central. That's 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. So set your VCRs. Just kidding. Just set a reminder in your phone. I can't wait to watch and talk about those. The Activity Continues podcast is produced by me, Amy, at Collected Sounds Media, and is a part of the independent Collected Sounds podcast network.
Nailed it.